What if I told you, when you go to the grocery store, you go to the shopping mall, you go to buy things on your Amazon Prime, the reason things are more expensive, my Black Folgers coffee, that's all I want. I'm not a picky guy. I don't need Starbucks, I don't need lattes, I don't need soy and cream. I just need my Folgers black coffee. And even that is becoming a luxury. Why are things becoming more expensive? It's a multifaceted issue. Part of it is the decline of the purchasing power of the dollar. And I made a video about this if you want to learn more about that subject. More than you've ever learned in school, more than any of your professors in college ever taught you, more than any news program will ever teach you. It's free, watch it, learn from it, take notes. But a reason inflation is increasing precipitously now is due to geopolitical affairs. The Strait of Hormuz restricting oil shipping and other activity from transpiring is a big domino in all of this. Think about this. A country that is thousands of miles away, the majority of us will never visit, and a tiny, straight waterway called the Strait of Hormuz in West Asia is the reason a lot of things are more expensive. Let's go. I'll talk about the economics, the history, and where we go from here. As of today, year of our Lord, April 7th, 2026. According to AAA fuel prices, the price of regular gasoline, the lowest grade you can get at the pump, is $4.14. Last Monday, a week ago, it was $4.02. Think about that though. 12 more cents adds up. Diesel is now $5.64 a gallon on average. A week ago, it was $5.45. Even if you don't drive a diesel truck, I don't drive a diesel truck. I don't have any sort of vehicle that uses diesel. However, farmers that have tractors that cultivate the crops use diesel. To transport things using ships, you need diesel. To transport products, UPS. And on top of that, to transport anything, you need big trucks, large vehicles, and you need diesel. When the price of diesel goes up, it increased costs across the board. Food prices. Price of everyday things. That's why when you go to the mall, when you go to the park, wherever you go, prices are more expensive because the price of transportation and distribution goes up. And when the price of business goes up, they pass that on to the consumer, which is you and me. A lot of people that don't understand economics call it corporate greed. And that's okay. That's just a lazy opinion to have. People that aren't economically literate say, oh my gosh, prices are going up. It's due to these greedy corporations. Which just isn't true. Another reason, because I have had a very good question asked before. One of my relatives. The Strait of Hormuz supplies 20% of all oil. It's in West Asia, and most of that goes to China, which is in East Asia. Why is it increasing our costs? Well, you got to realize that oil is a global commodity. Every industrial society relies on oil to sustain its standard of living. It's supply and demand. You have 20% less oil being supplied, but you still have the same demand. When something is more scarce, gold, for example, costs more than copper because it's more scarce. And when something is more scarce, there's more demand and less supply, and therefore the cost rises. And a lot of these companies that mainly sell to the United States are now forced to use some of that supply and then sell it to countries in Asia. Another factor is a lot of the oil that the United States produces through fracking is too pure. It comes from shale rock. They need dirtier, blacker, thicker oil because our refineries are not designed to be able to use a lot of what we produce. So when the cost of transporting that oil through oil tankers, it takes energy to distribute energy and to find energy. When that goes up, our oil prices go up. Another factor, most of the products we use come from China. And because China has to pay more for gas, we had to pay more. And that's why my black coffee, your Amazon Prime, your tickets to fly to go see your family or go on vacation are more expensive. Now that I talked about this, let me show you some interesting things on my map. Give me a moment. Okay, so we see right here, this is the Persian Gulf right here. The shipping lane goes through this area right here. The strait does. During the Iraq-Iran war, you see that they're bordering one another. And long story short, Saddam believed in a more secular Arab nationalism. He wanted to take over these regions under that, while Iran, after the 1979 revolution, when the Shah was removed and replaced by the Ayatollah, wanted a more religious law that was based on the Quran instead of a secular law. Saddam thought if he went through there, he could easily come as a conquering hero, overthrow the government, and make it a province of Iraq. Long story short, but it was essentially a stalemate. Both countries invaded one another, went after each other's resources, but essentially it ended in a stalemate after 8 years. But during that war in this area, the United States made sure that the shipping was never disrupted. They didn't necessarily control this area, but they wanted to make sure that this area, let me get the camera focused, this area right here had the routes open. They did convoy escorts. There was something called Operation Earnest Will, and this was in 1987 to 88. They put flags on Kuwaiti tankers that would go through there. And if you attack something with the United States flag, that meant you were directly attacking the United States, and they would have gotten involved in the conflict, which Iran did not want. Iran did mine a United States ship, though. It was called the USS Samuel B. Roberts. In retaliation, the United States launched Operation Praying Mantis in 1988. And they hit a lot of Iranian units. They basically sent them a message that they were the dominant power. The U.S. showed Iran that if you try to make the Gulf unworkable, you're going to suffer massive damage and massive losses. But a big thing during this time is that Iran basically just had a navy during that time. The regular navy was a lot smaller than the United States Navy. If you were to have conventional combat ship on ship, the United States would dominate because of the power, because of the size, because of the technological capacities of their ships. And that's what they did during the Iraq-Iran War. They learned that in an open fight, they couldn't win. And they only had limited tools at their disposal. They had mines, missiles, and small boats, but they didn't have today's layered systems of drones, mobile missiles, batteries, submarines, and integrated coastal surveillance. And that's why Iran today learned a few lessons. Number one, never fight the U.S. symmetrically, ship on ship. Large surface ships are easy targets. Shore-based systems are better. They're harder to hit, they're further away, and they're smaller, so they're not essentially a moving target. Lesson 2. You do not need to completely seal the strait to win. Leverage. And that's all it's about right now is leverage. The United States wants leverage. Iran wants leverage. You only need to make insurers, ship owners, and crews think the route is too dangerous. And they do right now. No one is going to insure a ship going through there right now from a landmine. You know how high those insurance premiums would have to be? Lesson 3. Mines are extremely cost-effective. A cheap mine can force a very expensive and very slow clearing effort. The resulting doctrine. Iran built an anti-access area denial system centered on fast attack craft, swarm tactics, missiles, drones, improved submarines, naval launches, etc. And it all spread through the coast and the islands. You don't just have direct ship on ship now. You have all along the coast, all along the islands around it now. The political lesson, which we are seeing today, harassment, seizures, proxy pressure, GPS interference, drones, and deniable attacks can disrupt shipping without forcing an immediate full-scale conventional war. And all those things, we are seeing them do right now. That's the economics, a little bit of geography. I like to do more. I'm a big fan of geography. And historical analysis of the Strait of Hormuz. Long story short, if you want to just impress your friends, let me show you the map here. Let me get to it. Right here. During the Iraq-Iran War, which lasted 9 years, they had their navy protecting this area right here. As a result, the United States was able to go in, put U.S. flags on Kuwaiti oil tankers. If they attacked those, that would be essentially escalating a war with the United States. They did hit a U.S. boat. The U.S. retaliated, but all they really had were limited missiles and navy on navy, ship for ship, and they weren't going to win. So now, along these areas right here, they have drones, they have missiles, they have GPSs, they have mines, they have all these other tools at their disposal. They have a larger toolkit. And they understand that mines being strategically placed will make insurance impossible and shipping impossible. And their strategy is to basically make the U.S. capitulate as prices go up. And I'm not really into politics. That's not my purview. I'm more into history, economics, and geography. Those are my 3 interests. But from a political perspective, like Bill Clinton said, it's the economy's stupid. That was a slogan when he ran in his first presidential campaign. The longer the strait is closed, the more prices go up, the more shipping costs go up, the more manufacturing prices go up, the angrier Americans become. And before you think I'm lying, this war, since polls have been created, has the lowest approval rating for the start of a war. Presidents are not like monarchs. They have to rely on the people to support what they're doing. And the majority of people do not support this. The longer this goes on, the longer this precipitates, the higher prices are going to go up. And the longer that happens, the lower the approval of the president is going to be. And last I saw, and again, I'm not super into politics, it was around 33%, 36% maybe, approval rating for the current administration. And the longer this happens, the lower it's going to go.